Welcome back everyone, it is great to be here with you. You might remember that this time last year, more or less, I was in Disneyland Paris for Christmas and I was staying at the Disneyland Paris Pink Hotel, which is a fabulous hotel. And I must admit, I was super nervous to go there for Christmas. In fact, I was so concerned that when my mum fessed up to that being where we were staying, I was a bit like, oh. And the reason I was a bit like, oh, is because we'd had such an amazing time staying at the Marvel Hotel the previous year for Christmas. And we had had a slight incident at the Disneyland Paris Hotel restaurant, which was not great. The very short version of the story is that when you go to a restaurant at Disneyland Paris, they ask you up front how you're paying for it. And we had credits for a meal a day as part of our package vacation. And basically, their machine didn't work and it didn't recognize the money that we had on there. However, they were very kind of unhelpful about it and very much, well, it's not on there. And then we went back to our hotel, which was Sequoia that we were staying at the time. And they confirmed, yes, the money's on there. We don't know why they had a problem, but they were just very, very black and white. No, it's not on there. And it was very uncomfortable. So, with that in mind, I was very nervous about what it was going to be like going and staying there because I thought it might be a bit snooty. It is a 5-star hotel. And I was really concerned because we had had the most amazing time at the Marvel Hotel. And if you have seen my video review of the hotel, you will have seen what a lovely hotel it is. And you will have probably heard from how I talk about it, how much of a fun time we had. Because at the time when we'd been to Disneyland Paris for that very meal, it was before we'd actually had the meal experience, I had gone and asked the concierge about decoration for Christmas and they said, we don't know yet. So anyway, wasn't sure what we were going to encounter. Well, I can say that when we first arrived at the hotel and when I walked in those doors, you have to go through the security bit first, which is fine. And then the doors opened into the foyer and I just went, oh, wow. Because it was gorgeous, let me tell you. It was really beautifully done, very tasteful, kind of understated, but in an elegant way. And it was just absolutely beautiful. The tree was in pink and gold. And then you had kind of garlands around the balconies, because as you walk into the foyer, there is this fabulous series of balconies around you. You basically can see the next levels up in the hotel, kind of first, second, third floor, and they wrap around the foyer. And it was so beautiful. It really was absolutely stunning. And because of the time of day that we got there, I managed to do a little bit of a walk around and it was pretty quiet because it was basically like 3 a.m. So there were not many people around. We were absolutely shattered, but that did not stop me from exploring. So this is, as I say, a 5-star hotel. There is a swimming pool there, which I didn't go in, but it did look lovely. And it's located actually very close to where the princess meet and greet is in the hotel as well. Now, the main feature of this hotel is its proximity to the park. It is literally a case of walking out of the foyer, walking for about 2 minutes, and you're at some of the barriers. Now, sometimes in the morning, you have to walk around to the other side of the park entrance, to the other side of the hotel. And the rooms seem to mostly be on the opposite side from the end at which you come out of to go into the park. So there is that, but it does mean you stay in the warm, you walk for a couple of minutes and you're in the park, and it does get cold in Disneyland Paris at Christmas. So that was very helpful. So there were lots of different things to this hotel. We actually were staying in a deluxe room, which was gorgeous. I can talk a lot about the room. In fact, why not? Let's do that now. The room was fabulous. It again was quite simple in terms of the touches that were Disney. It was a Tangle themed room. And one of my favorite aspects about it was actually the mirror, because it was kind of a platinum grey silver colour and it had Rapunzel's hair kind of wrapped around it. And there were kind of sun features in the carpets, for example. I think there was something on the wallpaper as well. But the best thing about this room, well, 2 things actually. One was the mini fridge, in which there was some complimentary water, but even better, there were some complimentary snacks and they were amazing. They were maison naja and there were caramelized almonds. there was, sorry, I've got a little pack next to me to remind me what there were. There was a little like kind of chili crackers pack, and then there was also some dried fruit, and they were all absolutely divine, and those were included in the price of the room. You just got the one when you arrived, and they were delicious. We actually thoroughly enjoyed them, while playing a board game one day inside the hotel, because we figured, you know, you go to Disneyland Paris and it doesn't matter whether you're staying at the Cars Hotel. We've stayed at all of them apart from the Davy Crockett, that's slightly off campus, as it were. And we stayed at all of them apart from that. And it doesn't matter which one you stay at in terms of you're still going to the same park. So we were like, well, let's do something more with the hotel, because we might only stay here once. And so we played a board game one day, and we had our little snacks from the bar. And that was brilliant. Now, with the deluxe room, the second thing that is beautiful, I really, really loved it. It's such a girly thing as well. There is a canopy over the bed. It's a canopy, not a canapé. Can you imagine? You're just sat under like a giant little blitz with some, I don't know, smoked salmon on it. No, it was a canopy, and it was amazing. It basically, you had these different light settings, and it went kind of colour change was an option. There was like a soft kind of warm white light, and there was another setting, I think, as well. And there were pictures on either side of the two double beds that you have in there. I say double, they might actually have been king. They were pretty big. They're certainly very comfortable. But 2 photos, and they were Moana photos that we had, or pictures. And they actually also lit up. So they had these lovely details, which I will show you in these videos. Absolutely gorgeous. And I had a lot of fun playing around with the different light settings. There were also your standard kind of, you know, just cold white lights that you get in a hotel. They might have been warm white, but, you know, just your bog standard lights. But that bed, the canopy, it went over both beds simultaneously, and it was quite something. I was in love. I didn't get to film it right when we first got the room, because my dad has long COVID, and so actually he just needed a place to crash. And so I was like, look, seriously, I'm not going to worry about filming it. I'll do it before we leave, which is what I did. So if you see little bits of Christmas decorations around, that's why. And we did decorate the room, which was so much fun. Before we went, I'd actually looked into getting a Christmas tree into the room. There is a series of things you can pre-order through the concierge. Now, it is expensive, people. I think when I was looking at it, it was about $500 or $600 to do an entire tree. I say dollars. It's not the UK, it's Europe, so it would have been euros. But it was about 600 euros, I think, to get that done. And there were options like you could get sort of a hamper. You could just buy things from the gift shop, because there's a gift shop too. And you could then kind of get them delivered to your room. So there were some really nice ideas. As it was, what we ended up doing was simply taking a 2-foot tree with us. I bought some Primark decorations, which were Disney or pink, and we just put those around the room. And it was so lovely. We put some chocolates on the tree as well. And it was just a really nice touch. Now, our room actually overlooked the front of the park, so kind of the entrance as people come in from the Disney Village area. And it was really cool, because you could kind of, obviously you couldn't see the fireworks from that side, but that was absolutely fine, because the key thing was we got a room earlier on in the day for Dad, so that really wasn't a problem. And what you could see was the fountains, which was really pretty, and especially kind of at twilight, they just looked gorgeous. And you walk to get to the rooms, you actually walk across the kind of corridor that goes across the full entrance. So you got to see the Christmas tree, which, if you remember any of my videos from last year, oh my God, the tree at Disneyland Paris is just so magical. It's like the ornaments are the same length as my forearm. They are just spectacular. And I love it. I'm so obsessed with it. So seeing that as you walked to and from places in the hotel was so fun. As part of staying in the deluxe room, you actually have a few benefits that you get. Now, one of them is that you actually get to have breakfast in the lounge area that's specifically for the deluxe rooms. There are rooms that are more expensive, and, you know, you get access to individual princess area meet and greets. So, you know, they wave from the balcony to the peasants who are staying in other parts of the hotel. But if you're actually staying in the more deluxe rooms, then you can actually meet them there as well. That being said, The lounge was amazing. The breakfast was so good. You had the crepes. You had lots of lovely foods to eat. I think there were a couple of things that were different from the other hotels. So I remember the marble breakfast, you get the vine roasted tomatoes. I think with this one, there was something about the pancakes. There were definitely a few differences, but we are going back a year. So I'm sorry, I cannot remember the exact details that I would have wanted to share with you originally. Either way, it was good. And one of the most exciting things, a few things really, when you have that deluxe room and you have that access to that deluxe lounge, you also get things like free drinks. So you can't get them during breakfast because you get drinks as part of your breakfast anyway. But later in the day, when they've cleared away from breakfast, you can actually go and get drinks and have them in the lounge, or you can take them back to your room. And so that was a really nice thing. Also, they do an afternoon tea thing daily, and it's like 3:30 to 5 p.m. All these little like sandwiches and burgers and tartlets and mini pizzas. So good. Sweet stuff as well. So I definitely had a few crepes because I love crepes. I love pancakes. Really yummy. And we thoroughly enjoyed that. And I must say we had a disastrous meal at the Pinocchio restaurant. And actually that was one of the few meals we did buy while we were there, because we tend to get credits ahead of time, and that was awful, but it was saved by the fact that we were able to go back to the Disneyland hotel and we actually were in time to make use of the afternoon tea, so that kind of made up for that. It was, if you want to know what the disaster was, it was well, there were a couple of things, but one of them was my dad and I had the seasonal burger, which was meant to be this like lovely alpine-y burgery thing with, I think it had like some cheese and stuff. Anyway, it did not look at all like it looked on the photo, and it tasted awful. I actually went and complained, it was so bad. But this was saved by the afternoon tea, which was so nice. And the lounge itself, in terms of location, it again kind of looks towards the front, the entrance of the park rather than into the park itself. But it was just really nice. I've remembered one of my most favourite things about the lounge as well. So the very best thing about that lounge, possibly that hotel, but I know for certain we got it in the lounge. Their hot chocolate was an absolute, if I say delight, it's a total understatement of what it was. It was French hot chocolate. So this was not like your powdered hot chocolate. Now they did do that kind of hot chocolate too. But this one, I've actually looked up a recipe to try and recreate it. And it basically turns out it's probably made with sugar, like icing sugar, and cream and real chocolate. And I think that is exactly what was in there. It was like a pudding in a cup. Now, anyone who's a similar age to me may remember back in the 90s, Bird's Eye used to do this, you know, like you get the custard that's instant custard and it's in like a foil wrapper. They used to do one of those that was chocolate flavour, and it came with like a crumble. So you made your chocolate custard and then there was this chocolate crumb that went on top, and it was one of my favourite desserts along with the Sara Lee Danish, which you still can't get anymore, although I did find it in Saudi Arabia once, which was amazing, but you cannot get it. And it was brilliant. This hot chocolate, I swear the French would probably shoot me for comparing it to Bird's Eye custard from the 90s, but it was so good. It is thick and creamy, but it's not creamy, it's heavy. It's just divine. It is like a pudding consistency. It is almost like you have to eat it with a spoon, but it is just about drinkable. And oh, I had at least one of those a day. I definitely had a couple on several days. I cannot iterate how good they were. They were phenomenal. Anyway, there's probably other things you're wondering about, so let me see what's on my list. I mentioned the gift shop. Yeah, there is a gift shop once you come out of the foyer and you go up the stairs and towards the rooms, then there's a gift shop there. It's quite large, and they do have things that are specific to the hotel that you can't find anywhere else in the park as well. So that's kind of cool. And on our very last day, my sister actually, I'd noticed them putting out replicas of the mirror that was in our room, the Rapunzel one I mentioned. The only difference being that it was in gold rather than the platinum silver colour. And I must admit, if I hadn't bought all the kind of little bits that I bought as souvenirs, that is the one souvenir I would have bought. And it's the one souvenir my sister got, and it was so good. It was so lovely. And it was really nice as a memory of our trip. But you could find things like, I bought some tea that was in kind of a hotel specific little tin, which was really cute, kind of blue and gold, really, really nice. And then they have, as I say, loads of other things beside. So the other restaurants that there is a Beauty and the Beast themed restaurant, which we literally walked through on the way to our final day when we did the character breakfast. And we did it because the first time that we'd done it, that was so disastrous. The characters were great. It was just, unfortunately, the staff we were talking to, we did finally get an apology from them, but it was under duress. I think it was literally because my mum said, "Oh, no apology then," when they realised their mistake. And it was only because the woman was walking behind her when she said that, that we suddenly were provided with an apology. But basically, when we'd gone there before, we'd met Mickey and Minnie and Pluto and Goofy. And when we were just kind of walking through the hotel, occasionally you see the characters going to and from the restaurant. And when we saw them, it was actually Donald and Daisy and Mickey and Minnie. So we wanted to see them. And so my dad said, yes, let's go on the last day. And we had a nice meal. We didn't have the same issue again, which was good. And we did have a view looking over into the park entrance. So the actual towards Main Street, which was so nice. And there was fake snow. Well, I don't know if it was fake snow. I think it was fake snow, but it could have been real snow. I choose to believe it was real snow because that's the kind of person I am. I love snow. To be honest, I'd be quite happy if it was fake as well, but it was just magical. And occasionally the train would go past and it was just so lovely. So yeah, that was really nice. We had a lot of fun with Mickey and Minnie. Minnie and Daisy, actually. They tried to steal my Loungefly. It was so funny. The food is really good there. But yeah, there's the kind of connected restaurants, but one is more Beauty and the Beast themed. You have a rose sort of in the middle of the table. And then you have the tables we were at, which honestly, I don't remember what they were decorated as because I just remember Minnie and Daisy mainly in their costumes and looking at the snow. So there you go. But it was really fun. I will say, although we didn't have the disastrous moment with the payment that we had, but they couldn't see on the system, we did have a different issue this time. And it was not as bad, but it wasn't great. Basically, I feel like the staff in the hotel itself were brilliant. And there were so many nice staff, kind, efficient, effective. And I feel like the restaurant maybe just hasn't quite got its act together, or it just, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, whatever the problem is. But anyway, we were waiting outside. There was a single queue going into both restaurants. And what happened was a cast member asked people who had reservations to step into a new line on the left-hand side of the existing queue. Everyone up until that point had been in the same queue. Then someone else tried to say we were in the wrong queue. That was not a queue, and we had to join the back of the queue that we'd all been part of. Now, at the time when they came to tell us this, my family and I were second from being at the point of seeing kind of the maitre d' and being allowed into the restaurant. And I think basically everyone in our queue was in uproar. We were like, no, we have been waiting for like half an hour. We were told to move over here to make a new queue if you had a reservation. We were in that queue. We're not going to the back of it. And fortunately, it was literally everyone in the queue. There was a German family behind us who were saying exactly the same thing. And basically no one was going to stand for that. So that was a bit unfortunate, but it did get resolved because everyone was just like, that's not happening. So yeah, it was fine. We got in, we got our table, had a good location, a good meal. But yeah, you just feel like, come on, Disney, just sort that out, please, because everything else is great. Everything is really nice, and we really like the environment. It's gorgeous, etc. Anyway, so there we go. On to another thing, princess meets. So this is another kind of moment, but basically what it is with the princesses is you can meet princesses in the hotel. Now, as I mentioned, if you've got like one of the super deluxe rooms, and I don't know the exact phrase for them, but let's call them that, there is an area basically where the entrance to the restaurants is. And the princesses appear at certain points from the balcony and they wave to people and they say hello, but you can't meet them there, you can just see them. If you're staying in one of the super deluxe rooms, you can see them because they're on a level that's accessible to you through a special lift that takes you to where they are. and your rooms, presumably. And this is the area where there's a lovely domed ceiling. It's painted blue with stars, I think. Again, it's been a while, but that's what I remember. And it's just quite magical. If you want to meet princesses and you're staying elsewhere in the hotel, there is an area, kind of a kids' play area kind of thing, on the way to the pool/spa. And that's where you can go and meet the princesses. And what they won't do, though, is tell you who you're going to meet. And it makes sense. They kind of said to us, look, it's because sometimes the princesses, like if something happens and they get a rip in their dress, actually it might be that they can't, they're running around after bad guys or they're doing too much cleaning. They can't necessarily go as planned. So they don't publicize who you're going to see. What I will tell you is they change every half hour, because we had a moment where we tried to go and we'd seen Aurora, and then my sister and I, we were in the lounge. We were having a kind of evening drink with my mum and dad. And we happened to hear a little girl who'd just seen Rapunzel. And she is one of my sister's very favourites. So we decided to try and book a slot to go and see Rapunzel. But rather than leave there and then, because we were in the middle of the drinks, I booked it for the next slot. So I missed the one that was kind of coming up within a few minutes. And I went to the next one. And what that meant when we went back down there was we actually saw Aurora again, who was, to say the least, a little surprised to see us again. And we did say to her, we're really sorry, we thought we were going to see your friend Rapunzel. So we had a little bit of a laugh over that, but it was quite funny. It's also a bit frustrating though, because if you want to tick off certain princesses or as many princesses as you can, it means kind of constantly going back every half hour to see who's there over kind of the morning and then the mid-afternoon and then the evening. So it does get a little bit tiresome in that sense. That being said, who did we meet? We met Aurora, as I say, twice. We did finally meet Punzi. I think we managed to meet her on the last day. So that was kind of a final yes before we left. We met Ariel. We met Tiana. We might have met Belle as well. If I can find my ornaments that I got them all to sign, which I really hope because I wanted to decorate them and put them on my tree, then I will confirm any extras. But those we definitely met. So that's something to be very aware of, because the princesses will change. They don't know days ahead who's going to be there throughout the week. And, if they do know who's going to be there kind of in the evening, they won't tell you for that very reason. I've said that things can go wrong and it can get a little bit frustrating. If you can kind of just be a bit more chilled about it, in terms of where you're going to be and when, it's not such a problem. But if you've got quite a strict itinerary, it might be something to scratch off. I think I haven't talked about the stickers. Okay, final thing that I can think of to tell you is about the stickers. Some of you may remember when we were staying at, I think it was the Marble Hotel. It might have been Sequoia. It must have been Sequoia because it's when we had that disastrous meal. That's why we were at the hotel. When we went to the Disneyland Paris the first time, I had learned that the different hotels do stickers, at least from Sequoia and Marvel and the Newport Bay. I'm not sure about the Cars one, and I'm not sure about the kind of cowboy inspired one, the name of which is positively escaping me right now. But you can collect stickers from at various points around the hotel. You have to be staying at the hotel in order to collect these. And if you want to know where you can get them, because you can ask in the hotel, but I will tell you if you don't know. So there's 6. You get them 1 in the concierge in the foyer. 2, there was a lady with a hat, or a gentleman at times with a hat, kind of a top hat style in kind of, from what I remember, it's like a burgundy uniform. They have stickers too. Then there's the gift shop. So that's number 3. Then you have the restaurants. Now that was the hardest one for us to get hold of. They didn't have any when we went the first few days, and we got towards the end of our trip and we were thinking this is not going to happen. We're not going to get them, but we did. So that was super exciting. And also in the pool entrance area and in the kids play area, which is where the princess meet and greet is. So that is where we managed to get the stickers from. We did collect all of them. And you get basically sidekicks of the princesses, and they're sparkly stickers. They're amazing. You might have noticed Charles and Charlotte wearing one on their badges, because I stuck one onto the badges on their collars, because they were so fancy and pretty. You get Lumiere. He was from the concierge. There was the ones from the restaurant were Jack and Gus from Cinderella. I think now I'm going to struggle to remember who I got from where, but you also got I think there was Miko possibly, and I'm going to have to try and find them to show you, because they are amazing. And I can't remember. I did know where I got them from. I have got a note somewhere that tells me. I might try and find it before I post this. If I don't, I'm very sorry, but it can be a nice surprise for you to find out, because they are really fun. So basically, I would say I would love to go back to that hotel. When I was thinking about doing this video and I was looking back through the footage I'd taken, and I was just like, oh, yeah, we had a wonderful time there. So despite the issue with the restaurant, despite the thing with the princesses, we did have a wonderful time there. It's such a nice hotel. The food was really good. The hot chocolate was incredible. It's just so nicely done. There's so many details. Oh, and I forgot to tell you about the show. Okay, so let me quickly tell you about the show before we finish. So for Christmas, there is a little story that you can encounter at certain points throughout the day. And I would say it happens twice a day that we kind of identified. And basically it relates to the tree, the magical tree. It is literally magical in the foyer. If you see people walking around who are dressed as miming soldiers, follow them, go with them, interact with them. If you see a lady who looks a bit like a fairy godmother, but is wearing a kind of pink colour, fuchsia colour, and she has grey hair and glasses, I think, and her name, I think, was Madame Temperance? Madame Time? Mrs. Time? Follow her. She's not a baddie. We thought she might be a baddie to start with, which is why when she asked us where something was, we didn't tell her. But it turns out she's not. She's a goodie. And so basically this story happens. It starts in the area outside of the restaurant. I think it seemed to start about 11:30-ish. But that might vary throughout the day, depending on, it just so happened that we came across them at that kind of time. And it starts off with these soldiers, the miming soldiers, who are kind of going around and interacting with people. And you can have an awful lot of fun with them. We met about 6 different soldiers across the days we were there, and they were all fabulous. They were great fun. If you go with them from the entrance to the restaurants, follow them back down through to the foyer, you will encounter Madame Temperance. Apologies for my French accent. And she will come with you. She's basically trying to fix the Christmas tree with the magic. And so you go down into the foyer and you do a magic spell. She teaches you all a magic spell. And then you relight the candles on the tree and the lights on the tree. And it's just wonderful. I think it starts with, there is a box next to the tree. And if you see the tree does not have any lights on, press the button. Press the button. That's what starts it all. And so, like I say, they come out towards the entrance of the restaurants. They come down into the foyer, and then in the foyer in front of the tree, they do all the magic and the story that goes along with it. And it is great fun. So I do recommend getting involved with that. And that, my friends, is pretty much everything I can remember about the hotel. I don't think there's much I've missed that I wanted to share with you from last time. I apologise if there is stuff, but I just wasn't in the right place to do it when I originally wanted to film it. But I hope you enjoy it now. I hope you enjoy seeing it. I don't know whether they do the same colour scheme every year, but it really was truly magical and gorgeous, and we had the best time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see any of my other kind of reviews and insights into other hotels, please check out the videos in the description below. And if you enjoyed this and haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do consider liking and subscribing. And I hope to see you again another time. But until next time, take care and bye for now.